it's Ella with Sonar, and we are here at Fiber Connect 2025 in Nashville, and I'm with Josh, Head of Marketing at Actifai.
Great to be here.
Yeah, excited to chat with you today. We're going to talk about how Actifai's been growing, all things AI, and kind of just get an update since we saw you last year.
That sounds great.
Awesome, let's get started. So it's been about a year almost since last Fiber Connect. What are the trends that you've kind of been seeing, or any changes since, a year ago?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's certainly the prevalence of AI in software solutions that are available to ISPs has increased, which is a good thing all around. It's one of those technologies where, at first AI comes onto the scene, it sounds kind of novel. It almost was like, it has one or two applications,
Sure.
and if you don't have that problem, then you probably shouldn't be using AI. But the truth is that AI is something that can potentially implement the grand majority of your business operations. The struggle or the challenge over the past couple of years has been applying that without upending what you already do. You're not supposed to recreate your business operations to try to force AI into it. It's more the job of the AI software providers to integrate it into the processes you have today, to optimize them, but to augment kind of the existing systems and people and positions. So obviously that's what we've been doing in the sales, retention, customer engagement front over the past several years. But you're kind of seeing more helpful, practical AI solutions become built into systems. I think the difference is what we're not seeing is that there's one or two big AI conglomerates that if you want to get any value out of the technology, you got to go there. It's not Microsoft or nothing. What we're seeing is that point solutions, as I like to call them, but basically solutions that are niche and solve a particular subset of problems, they're becoming more and more popular because they're becoming increasingly interoperable with existing systems that broadband providers have. So you have your biller, your operation system is kind of one of the cores of the broadband provider tech stack. But now you have these point solutions, like whether it's in sales or customer support, that are coming in that will operate with your base system. We become a part of it, we communicate with it well, but we're applying AI to solve a particular problem. And that's a big opportunity for the broadband providers because it's opening up the ecosystem and you're able to kind of pull in these solutions to supplement where it can be most helpful to the business.
Have you felt that there's been a greater acceptance of AI in the broadband community, and that now that it's becoming more popular worldwide,
right,
within this industry as well, people are more acceptant to it?
Yeah, certainly. I always joke, so Actifai's been around for 4 or 5 years now, and we've been coming to shows like this for the entire time to kind of meet the industry, have conversations with folks. And even just 4 years ago, when we were first kind of introducing ourselves as AI to the community, we would always joke, and folks would joke with us as well, like, oh, you mean like Skynet, or what are you up to? And, of course, we'd have the conversation about specifically what we're doing, machine learning, where, we can help in this, particular area in sales, retention. But even just, 4 years ago, not that long ago, there was, more hesitance. This is new technology. How's this going to work? Is this really for us, or is this meant for, a much bigger company? One of the biggest shifts in the past 2 years has become folks coming up to AI vendors and saying, hey, we want to work with AI. We know that we need to do AI. We've been talking about it. What can you do for us? I think the challenge has now become that AI has become a buzzword and a marketing term, and everything is AI. And I saw this, not even a joke, but I saw a picture of this the other day, and then I basically ran into something very similar. I remember what it was. I saw a toothbrush in a brick and mortar store that the container, the packaging on it said, with AI. And I sat there and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
maybe the thought is the way that it vibrates or something, who knows? But with all the AI noise, the challenge becomes, you don't want to go on a wild goose chase trying to bring AI into everything, and spending money in places that you shouldn't be spending money for applications that are, not as helpful as they can be to the business. I think ChatGPT and LLMs have done a great thing for the industry where it has broken that barrier of, I'm not so sure about AI, but at the same time, it's also the cause for everybody being able to say AI this, AI that today. Because they're open source, so you can basically put a wrapper on an LLM, whether it's GPT or Claude or something else like that, and then you can, change one tiny thing about your product, and now you're an AI solution. And it's not necessarily disingenuous. What I'm really saying is that it's just challenging for the buyer to know, what does this mean? What am I getting? How's it going to help me?
So how do they break through that barrier? Do you have any recommendations for an ISP on how to approach AI? Come at it strategically.
Well, that's a really good question. So, first, I want to say that in this industry, when we talk about AI, there's also sometimes a confusion because there's another component to AI that's really important to broadband providers today, which is building the network to support all of the increasing AI use cases and applications, across the country and across the globe now. And so I'm not specifically speaking to that. That's an entirely different conversation of which, I don't have expertise in. But speaking to AI solutions that you're bringing in for the business, try to optimize different processes, really the way that I believe broadband providers should approach it is by working backwards from challenges. Now, it's not always that easy, right? Like if you knew all the problems you had and all the solutions that could fix it, you probably wouldn't necessarily have those problems. So it's an oversimplification to say, but work backwards from a problem. But you can do that when you're introduced to new AI solutions. I think people are getting bombarded with messaging and emails and content about AI. I don't think we should tune it out and say, well, it's all garbage. I think you have to listen to it, you have to give it a shot, but it's good to bring the healthy skepticism to the conversation to say, okay, what is your AI? How does it work? What data does it require? What systems does it need to connect to? And then, what is the actual business process that we're targeting? It's the same as it's always been with a new software or technology solution. That you don't want to find a problem to use a new tool. If an AI solution is targeting a real aspect area of your business today, I'll just use our example of sales happen every single day. The challenge of optimizing conversion, ARPU, and retention, that's an ongoing challenge. It's not a niche thing that happens once or twice a year. You want to know what's the data that's behind the AI solution, what is it targeting, and then does it have an impact on my P&L? And if you can kind of have those conversations, you can determine that the solution provider, good data security, hopefully is the creator of the AI solution and not necessarily piggybacking on another. Then these are tools to look at and investigate, because we are in an age now where there is significant business value to be generated from using this technology.
So let's say that an ISP has kind of dipped their toes into AI, they found some solutions that they like. How do they then kind of bring that into what they already have going on? Do they need, help in-house?
Right.
What does that process kind of look like for an ISP?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it varies depending on the solution. But specifically kind of the point solutions that we're discussing, the ones that augment existing technologies, they're less involved than I think many folks would think, or at least they certainly can be.
Sure.
So if you find the right solution, the way that these AI solutions should be designed today is with the intention of them being able to work with your existing technologies. So, take for example the way that we work with Sonar today. We wanted to be able to come in and support the broadband providers' sales operations, whether it's their website, their e-commerce checkout, their CSRs, their sales agents, that sales process, retention calls, proactive outbound retention, door-to-door sales. And to do that, we said, okay, we need to make a software layer that that people are able to use, that we can put the AI inside of to bring the benefits. And then, as we started to bring it to the market, we realized, well, these things don't just live kind of in silos where I have a tool over here that does this, tool over here that does this. So what we've been able to do with Sonar, through how collaborative you are and how open your system is and able it is to work with it, said, okay, well, if we're creating an AI sales solution, we should be able to pull from the billing and operating system, what's the service catalog, what are the serviceable addresses, if we're getting sales information about the consumer, how can we push that back, put it into the CRM, here's the packages that were bought, have it all done live and in real time, and make sure that the internal teams don't have to have back-end developers kind of create a whole new system so that you can use both tools. Today, you should be, or at least the AI software providers should be bringing technologies to providers that say, hey, this works inside your existing system. You don't need to have a bunch of back-end devs. What do you need to get started with Actifai, for example? you need a team lead, project team lead. And we exchange a couple of pieces of data that we take from the billing and operations system. You need a team lead, someone on the sales and marketing side to talk about what language you want to use, how we should match your branding. No developers needed. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think that I'm sure there are some solutions that have such high, incredible value that if it doesn't exactly look that way, it might still be worth all the added effort. But I think for broadband providers, they got a lot going on, a lot of people trying to bring them solutions, and we got to pick and choose between what we're going to prioritize. They should be looking for AI technologies that are saying, hey, we are going to come in, we're going to deploy quickly. We don't need you to bring data to the table. We're going to bring that data. Your existing tech stack, we work with them, we know them, we've done this before. We're going to take the lead and drive this forward because it is possible. So anything less, is going to put more unneeded costs, risk, time back onto the provider.
And that is what we're trying to get rid of.
Yes.
We're trying to make things simpler, reduce costs,
yes,
increase revenue.
Right. So how do they get started? Make sure you're working with the right vendors.
Yeah.
Make sure you're working with a core billing operations platform that has that open-ended approach. If they are blocking you from working with point solutions today, that's not ideal because there's no one single solution that's going to provide you the best in class of all the things that can be really meaningful and helpful to the ISP. So you want to find your core solution that whole team is trained on and uses all the time, your systems get revolved around, that says we work well with others, we work easily with others so that you can enhance various parts of your operations. It's hard to go backwards. If you start launching with vendors today that, we don't really do this, we don't really work with that person, it becomes entrenched. And then if you want to switch to something else that's maybe it's better, it's the best in breed now, what do you have to backtrack? What do you have to rip and replace? You don't want to be doing those things. So I guess it's going in with the knowledge now where AI is new technology, but it's very similar to software solutions of old in that if you can think ahead and say, okay, we're working with something that's interoperable, plays well with others, it's open API based, they bring their own data, it's their own models, they're highly secure. That's what you're looking for, and I'm very excited. You're future-proofing, but without overcomplicating it or creating a fear of getting started. You can get started today. They're ready to use these things. It's not a big project. You just want to be thoughtful about who you're working with and how they play with others. AI is not meant to replace us, replace your people. It's meant to augment what you do today, make your life easier, make your jobs easier, make you better at what you already do. You don't want to be afraid of AI or overcomplicate it either. It's not a foreign, magical black box of something is happening and I just have to trust it. These are technologies built by people based on data from our industry, working with ISPs. It's here to help, to improve what you already do, and to make your life easier. Just keep an open mind, explore. There are things today out there that aren't, future concepts that are ready to go, that, it's not just us. If you're willing to kind of hear them out, think about them, see what they're up to, there's serious value to be derived, and we're looking forward to helping more and more broadband providers as time passes. Some of the new solutions that we're rolling out, working with them, and working with great partners like you guys.
And it's exciting to see what we're able to do together and how we're able to help these ISPs and grow the industry even further.
And we really want to thank you guys. I think you're a great example of what it looks like to be a partner that is open, wants to work with the best solutions, the niche solutions in the industry, so that way you can provide your broadband customers the best possible experience that they can have as their core kind of tech stack. It's been great working with you, and we're particularly excited to be bringing door-to-door solutions now to broadband providers, proactive retention solutions to broadband providers, along with what we've been doing for the past couple of years, e-commerce, CSR, phone sales. Put it all together, you have the best-in-class kind of omni-channel sales operations that you can deploy. And we're excited to keep working on it with broadband providers, make it better and better with time.
I mean, we always say it, but we want to empower these ISPs to do their job as best and as easily as they can. And I think together we're doing that. So
you guys are helping to make that possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for chatting and talking. It was very insightful. I hope you guys have a great show here at Fiber Connect.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming to the show, coming back year after year, so you can hear the new things that we're working on. All we want to do is meet and talk with broadband providers. You guys are doing the hard work. bridging the digital divide, bringing crucial connectivity all across the country. So it's our pleasure to support in the ways that we can. Enjoy the rest of Fiber Connect 2025. We'll see you next year.
Light it up.
And yeah, we'll see what we got. Light it up. Light it up, of course.